Hello again, everyone. Edwin Learn back once again. In this YouTube astrological segment, I'm going to be talking about transit Venus making a square opposition or inconjunct aspect to one's natal south node. Now, when we're talking about transits that involve Venus, this could be about our love, enjoyment, money, possessions, resources, values, self-worth, self-esteem, and how one feels about oneself. Now, when you have the transit of Venus basically making an adverse aspect to the natal south node, I'm going to elaborate on when I'm saying basically adverse aspect. This is, squares and oppositions, of course, are adverse negative aspects. The inconjunct can be seen as a neutral aspect, but it does require adjustments. Adjustments can often be tension-filled. They can be exasperating. They can be a little challenging. So, for all intents and purposes, it's basically this collectively, it's an adverse aspect that I'm talking about in this video. Now, as far as, again, the transit Venus basically making an adverse aspect of the natal south node, this could manifest in love, enjoyment, money, your resources, possessions, your values, your self-worth, self-esteem, how you feel about yourself. While these things may conflict with what you're trying to go away from, like for example, if you're in a monetary situation, now that might not be the best at this time, or you're very at a low income and you're trying to get out of a home situation, or maybe an unstable housing situation. Say if this is like the south node is in the zodiac sign Cancer and or the fourth house, it maybe manifests that way. And maybe there's something with money that might be curtailing this at this time. It could be maybe your how you feel about yourself. It could be limited self-worth or self-esteem, maybe factoring in to you trying to extricate yourself from a situation. Say, if you have this like in an Aries in the south node, natal south node is in Aries in the seventh house as an example. It could be an acerbic or acrimonious situation with a significant other. Maybe in some cases could be a physically abusive situation that you're trying to extricate yourself from, and you're having difficulty in doing so because maybe it has something to do with what you're feeling about yourself inside, how you feel about yourself, your self-worth and self-esteem. It's important to remember during this transit try not to let that get you down and prohibit you from getting out of something that might be to your detriment. This transit doesn't last very long, but it's longer than the transits of the moon. Of course, the transits of the moon last about 10 hours on average. This is lasts in days, but it's still not a very it's not overly protracted or prolonged transit, but you do get them frequently during the year. Now, anyway. Another thing too, it could be trying, what may not be that enjoyable may be your past at this time. If somebody resurfaces from your past, or there's some kind of memory that goes on, or somebody brings up something that might be overly negative about your past. Maybe it's something. Well, say if the south node is in Taurus and or the second house, it could be maybe a time where you were. Maybe you were seen as a little bit greedy or avaricious, or just dominated by finances, and somebody might be, making a joke or bringing that up and having that resurface as an example. The south node could also be the negative manifestation of the sign. So it could be a time where you're not really, enjoying what could be, a negative expression of the sign your natal south node is in. If the south node, say, is in Leo, maybe there's some arrogant or egotistical qualities, overly domineering qualities that you might be noticing about yourself, and it's just something where you're really not overly enamored with it at this point in time. And the thing about this is, if the south node is in the zodiac sign Cancer as an example, maybe there's overly clingy or dependent qualities that you're not very fond with right now. It can be something too when you look at this as well. For those of you that believe that the south node can be connected with past life, and it might be a situation where maybe you feel you're trying maybe to get away. It could be somebody, maybe a connection a relationship or significant friendship that might have been part of your past life that might be maybe affecting you adversely at this time, or it could be something maybe you're trying to get away from, and maybe you're having difficulty in doing so. Maybe you're having trouble showing the sentiments or feelings toward this person at this time. Remember, the Venus can be about relationships, can be about feelings and sentiments. The South Node, for those of you that have a belief in this, can be connected with some things from the past life. It can also be, I mean, when you're trying to, and the South Node is associated also with the overdeveloped and redundant qualities of the sign. So it can be a time to where these are things that you might not be overly enamored with at this time. If the say if the South Node is in Aquarius, it could be overly idiosyncratic, unusual behavior, unorthodox behavior. I'm not saying you're going to be climbing, the walls with suction cups on your hands like Spider-Man or anything, but it can be rather unusual, qualities in yourself that maybe these are things that you don't really, that might be overdeveloped and redundant. Virgo can be like, maybe like the germophobic, and I don't know if that word even applies anymore. I have my natal South Node in Virgo. The thing about this too is another thing is that this could also be, I mean, the South Node on a positive end could be about what you're naturally proficient in. These are can be qualities maybe you don't value at this time. I mean, Venus is about our values, and it could be where maybe you don't have the enjoyment in doing things that are associated with this at this time. And the South Node can also be energy that might affect one, I would say, to one's detriment as well. So when you're talking about Venus, the planet of relationships, which could be significant other, a marriage partner. It could be somebody that's an important friendship. That these things maybe are affecting you adversely more so than usual at this time, and it could be something where it's just not beneficial to you at this time, whether they might be distracting you from trying to accomplish something or whatever it may be at this point in time. Now, another way that this transit can manifest, it could be again, going, reiterating what I said before, not loving, being enamored with the South Node qualities. Say if the South Node, like in my case, South Node in Virgo in the 5th house natally as an example. Maybe there's some kind of, hypochondriac, overly judgmental tendencies that I'm not saying that's what I'm about, but it can manifest for somebody, that placement like this, could be again hypochondriac or overly judgmental, critical tendencies that might impact potential situations with a lover or children in some cases. Also, too, relationships may conflict with what you're trying to get away from or extricate yourself from. So, say for example, if the South Node is in Capricorn, as an example, the natal South Node in Capricorn, in your 4th house, it could be an overly, maybe limiting or depressing home or domestic situation. Maybe there's something there that's causing you to feel melancholy, or maybe there's an overly, cold or tyrannical person that's in your home life, or it could be a family member at this time that you're trying to get away from and you're having difficulty in doing so. Another thing too is that could also be some difficulty in finding enjoyment with those things that you're naturally proficient in, which can be associated with the South Node. Now, if the South Node, say, is in Aquarius, it could be something with astrology, computers, innovation, even rocket science. Maybe it's building model rockets. It could be things with astronomy, expression of altruism, humanitarianism. These are things that you may naturally be flourishing, but you just might not have, feel like actually doing these things right now. Now, another thing too, this could also be, some cases if there are issues. Hold on a moment, people. Sorry about that. I'm back. But anyway, now in some cases, this may manifest if there's any issues with something anatomically connected with Venus, such as the lower back, the kidneys, the thyroid, the throat, the neck. Maybe it challenges, you know, um, matters with somebody that might have played a pivotal or prominent role in your past. Say if the South Node is in Aries in the 10th house, as an example, maybe it's somebody that had a leadership position in your career, might have been a boss or manager. Maybe it was somebody you had a contentious situation that was in your career. Maybe this was somebody you had a contentious situation with that may have impacted your reputation and public image. And also, to keep in mind, Venus is again about money. So it may be a situation with, money, maybe not having the money at this time, or there's financial limitations or what have you, may conflict with you trying to get away from some negative or adverse situation in your life at this time. So anyway, people, that'll conclude this YouTube astrological segment. And until next time, people, Edwin Leonard saying stay well.